I hope y'all staying hydrated out here, man. It's crazy. Trap is the latest film by director M. Night Shyamalan. In it, we follow Josh Hartnett, who plays the father of a young girl named Riley, who he's taken to this concert to see her favorite pop star. At the concert, Cooper, Josh Hartnett's character, quickly realizes that there is a heavy police presence there, and it's because they're searching for him. And that's pretty much all the details that I'm going to get into here today without getting into too many spoilers. Again, this is a non-spoiler review, my guy. But you know how we get every single time. We're going to get into the good, we're going to get into the bad, and we're going to get into the stats. I know most of you, if not all of you, are familiar with M. Night Shyamalan. I mean, he came into the game with some really good films. We had Signs, we had The Sixth Sense, and then out of nowhere it seems like he just started making the craziest, most illogical films of all time. So it's kind of a game with M. Night Shyamalan at this point. It's kind of a trick, a flip of a coin to see whether or not the next movie he makes is going to be a good film or another ridiculous film. And where does Trap fall into that line? Well, we're going to get into all that right now, and let's get started with this thing. Let's get started with some of the good here, alright? Josh Hartnett had good performances for a good chunk of this film. And the same with a few of the other actors and actresses in this film. There were a few decent performances in this film, but we eventually get into that Shyamalan thing. And I don't know if it's the writing on the films or if it's just the direction, but we get some really wonky line deliveries. We have some characters in this film that do things that are just so illogical. Like, why would you do that? And you scratch your head thinking, like, how has this person not been fired from their job already? Or why did this person get this position if obviously they're doing this and they're slipping up like that? We get a lot of those Shyamalanisms. We get a lot of the wonky, weird lines of dialogue. We get a lot of the weird camera angles and the really, really close-up. One thing this film was able to do really well was make you feel a little bit suspense. You're not necessarily rooting for the protagonist of this film, and you know he may be a bad guy, but he is the protagonist because that's the character who we're meant to follow throughout this film. It does begin to feel suspenseful, trying to see how he's going to find his way out of this concert and how he's going to be able to keep a step ahead of the police who were there. And honestly, a lot of the scenes at this concert, I'm not really a big concert guy. I don't really care to be in those big crowds like that. But honestly, they were like dead on for what like a concert is. Like, it felt like they were actually at a concert. And even the sound design on the performance, it sounded like somebody on stage at a concert being filmed. It didn't sound like a backtrack playing. It sounded like somebody actually performing at a concert, and I thought that was kind of cool. That's something I noticed throughout the film. There's one thing that kind of like irritated me a little bit, and I don't know if anybody else is gonna pick up on this or like or be bothered by this at all, but there's a scene early in the film. This isn't a spoiler at all whatsoever. It's just something like the tiniest thing, and I'm nitpicking here. There's a scene in the early beginning of the film where Cooper, Josh Hartnett's character, and his daughter Riley are pulling up to this concert, and they park. And there are so many open parking spaces. And the minute I seen that, I leaned over to my wife and I said, "Cat," because there was no way you're going to a concert or any type of big crowded event. There is no way you're going to find a parking spot that easy. It is never easy. I spent like 10 minutes looking for a parking spot when I went to the mall to see Deadpool the second time last week. So imagine trying to find a parking spot for a concert and it was that easy. Again, this is me nitpicking, but that's the stuff that goes through my mind when I'm watching this shit. But this movie in the beginning, it starts off and it's moving at rapid fire pace. Like, it starts off like a runner, right? It's like a track star racing against a cross-country star. And, you know, they're exhausting all this energy to get this big sprint at the beginning. And then towards the end of the film, in that third act, it just starts to crawl at a snail's pace. And you start to wonder with this film, like, when is this climax going to climax? Like, when are we going to get there? And the twist in this film, I swear, in this past few films, I feel like the twists have been getting lamer and lamer. Like, honestly, the twist was, like, so mid. It was like, bro, what? That's your twist? And like I was saying, yeah, there are some good performances in this film, but then we get into, like, some of those same actors who were giving us some decent to good performances in this film, and they start giving us these wonky line deliveries and, just saying things strangely, and like, I think it's the Shyamalanizing. But honestly, man, it depends where you're at with Shyamalan, how you can take a bad film, and especially where you're at with M. Night Shyamalan, on whether or not you're gonna have a good time with this film or not. If you're not really into that thing, you're probably not gonna have much of a good time with this film. But if you're into M. Night Shyamalan's style of filmmaking, if you're into like some of the weird and wacky things that he puts in his films, then I think you're gonna have a ball with this film, because it's another one of those M. Night Shyamalan films that is just ridiculous and it's fun to laugh at. But anyways, y'all, let's start breaking this film down and grading it. For casual moviegoers, we're gonna give this film a D plus. For movie fans, we're gonna give this film a D minus, and critically, I'm sorry, I gotta give this film an F. Trust me, trust me, trust me. I went into this film with as open a mind as possible, but honestly, it's not there. But you know what? I really ended up enjoying this one though. So honestly, I'm kind of torn between what I want to give this film. I partially want to say skip it and rent it at home. And then I partially want to just say go see it in theaters. But that's only if you're a Shyamalan fan. If you're a Shyamalan fan, yeah, go ahead and see that in theaters for the one time. But if you're not, then yeah, maybe just skip it and wait till it comes home. But anyways, guys, that's all I got here. I got another video to film. I'm going to be filming a video talking about RDJ as Dr. Doom. I just wanted to get this one out the way first because this was fresh on my mind. I just got home from seeing the movie not long ago. So I wanted to film this review and, yeah, get that out for you. So I'm about to film this Dr. Doom video. I'll see you guys next time. Later.